welcome to this week's 10-minute book review. I'm Tan Ann.
I'm sleepy.
Okay, well, this week's book is Caraval. As you can see, we're dressed festively for Caraval. Yes, darling, yes. So, oh yes, it's by Stephanie Garber. So to give you, we usually start off with a grade, like a star point and a rating. I give this, in a 1 to 10 stars, I give it a 7. I know I'm probably going to catch flack about that because people think, oh my god, this is a wonderful book. It's not bad, but I give it a 7. And what do you give, Sleepy?
6.
Okay, 6, 7, 7, 6. For a rating, for a rating, I'd probably give it like a peachy. There's no sex.
Yay! That's a plus.
Like, people have died in it, but it's not gratuitously so. You don't really get to see the ends and bits of it. So to give you the main players in this book, we have Scarlet, who's the goody two-shoes. Yay! She's the main person in it. She's the one writing to the master of Caraval for an invitation for her and her sister to come to Caraval one year. Then we have her.
Her.
Thank you. We have her sister, Donatella, who is a year younger than her and kind of like the wild child who likes to kiss boys. Ooh. Ooh.
What?
This was like 1800s? I say 1500s. There's no technology, so 1500s. Then we have
Julian,
who's like the sailor who comes in and whisks them away to Caraval. And then finally we have Legend, who we know very little about. So, starting off, Scarlett's writing all these letters. Like, imagine like a kid writing letters to Santa Claus for junk, and Santa Claus is like, bruh, I don't know you, and I don't even know you exist, so we not about this. So yeah, she writes letters for like 7 years to Legend. Finally, on the 7th year, Legend's like, alright, come on. Since she just wanted so bad. But, you know, she's engaged now. She's like 16, 17 years old. And, you know, it's interesting because she's like 16 years old, but then the stuff that Donatella, who's a year younger than her, is doing, it's kind of out there. So, well, anyway. So, she's like 16 years old. She's engaged to a count whose name she doesn't know. Her father's withholding the name from her.
Well, of course.
And so she's like, yeah. And so she's like, you know, well, I can't go this year because, you know, I'm getting married this year. And this count is going to save me and my sister from my father. Now, here's some crazy mess from the first chapter. I'm not giving anything away because it's the first chapter and it kind of lets you know the kind of world they live in. So Scarlet wants to run and tell Donatella like the letter that she got from Legend. She finds Donatella in a barrel room, like because her father is making rum and selling it on the black market, with a sailor who is Julian. And she tells her about it. Her father catches them down there. And he is like, okay, sailor, which one of my daughters was you canoodling with? Because I know you weren't drinking my liquor. You don't smell like rum. And so Scarlett's like, he was with Donatella. And Donatella's like, he was with Scarlet. I'm like, bruh, Donatella, you riding like that? Like, you do that? Like, you'd X your sister out like that? Like, why? But then, like, the father says to the sailor, you tell me which one of my daughters you were messing with. And Donatella kind of mouths to him like, say Scarlet. So he says Scarlet. Dude turns his ring so that the sharp edge is facing out so it can catch. Pimp slaps Donatella twice. And he tells Scarlet, like, see, if you don't want me to hurt your sister, you'll behave properly. And so now it's like, oh my God, now I understand. Donatella was telling him to say Scarlet so Scarlet wouldn't get hit. Because apparently what their father does, the governor, if one of them does something wrong, he punishes the other one. It says, like, see, if you don't want your sister to get hurt, you'll behave. So it's just like if me and Sleepy.
That's right.
Yes. So if me and Sleepy were doing something and I got in trouble, right? Like I was the one who did it. But I say, no, I didn't do it. She did it. Because I know if I say she did it, then I'll get punished for it and she won't. If it's known that I did it, then I know she'll actually get hurt. So the sisters really do love each other. They're in like a really crappy home life. So long story short, Donatella decides to run away. Scott decides to stop her. Julian is like, I'm just here for the ride, bruh. So they end up drugging Scarlet, and Scarlet wakes up. She's on a boat. She's like,
where am I?
Yeah, it's like, what the flippity dip? How did I get here?
What's this language?
Take me home. He's like, I can't. Donatella is already on the island, and she's like, come back to my sister. I'm like, okay, whatever. So they end up on the island. So I want to describe to you what Carnival is like. Okay, so this book, if you take 3 different things and put it together, it is like Alice in Wonderland because it's so trippy. It's like Coraline because even the good things that you see are really not good. Like you could try to eat a cake that tastes good, looks like chocolate, and it turns into like ants. Like it's not good. Nothing is good. Well, some things look good, but nothing's really good. And then the third is like Disney's Tangled in the way that, you know how with Eugene, how he kind of, Rapunzel wanted to see the world, but she wasn't equipped to be able to do so. And so Eugene was like, okay, I'm going to take you under my wing so that you can, like, it's we're using each other, kind of. And then Eugene ends up falling in love with Rapunzel, and Rapunzel ends up falling in love with him. So it's like, it's those 3 movies put together, in my personal opinion. Carnival's only played at night. And so, here's something that irritated me about the author. Like, every few minutes, like every few pages, I love my sister, I love my sister, where's my sister? Like, dude, I know you love your sister, I know.
Closeness.
It was irritating, like, as a reader, it's like, I already read in the first couple of chapters how much she loves her sister. To hear it over and over again.
Author?
Yeah, the person who wrote it.
Yeah, but why isn't it just about the character itself then?
Because she created the character.
Even still.
I feel like it was too much. Like, as the reader.
With the people, that's the book. Not, I mean, I get it. I mean, she's doing this work to, you know, get published and continue to be published and things like that, but you're engaging with the characters themselves. Those are the main ones that you would really feel like, I don't really care for this.
I think she made her too troopish. Like, she was the good girl, but she was the overly good girl. Like, that bothered me.
But she was a little younger than her, so it's kind of like...
No, like,
yeah.
Scarlett's the older one. Donatella's the younger, wild one. And, like, she was a good girl, but she was, like, overly, like...
But that's how a lot of times a lot of the younger ones will act.
She's not younger, though.
Okay, you're not talking about... Okay. I told you I'm sleeping.
Okay, Donatella, she's the wild child. She's the, like, oh, a boy, I like a boy. I'm gonna kiss a boy. Boy, where are you going? That's Donatella. Scarlett is like, I'm keeping my legs crossed, my skirts down. Do not look at me. Do not touch me. Do not breathe my air, for my count might know that you breathe the same air as I. That's how, you know. But here's the problem comes in. Like, she's overly the good girl, and that's to her detriment. And also the reader, I found it annoying that it just kept harping on where's my sister. Where even when you find out the game, and this isn't a spoiler because it even says so on the jacket. The game is about finding her sister. Everyone who's playing Carnival that year is looking for Donatella. And they say that Carnival is magic. Really, it's a bunch of players, a bunch of actors, but they're called players because the century that's going on in. they're all dressed up a certain way, and the place seems magical, but it's really like lights and mirrors and diversions and things like that. It's not really magical, although it's played at night so that it looks trippy and it feels trippy.
Acid.
Yeah. It's something you'd need to take to read them. Anyway, so there's not really much I can say about the book that doesn't give too much away, in all honesty. I mean, as you can see, we did read through the book, so we do have, you know, our notes. No books were harmed in the making of this video. We do have our notes. There are different things to say, but once we went over, it's like a lot of things that would be said. Because everything moves into everything else, there's not much that can be there's not really much that can be said that really changed. I mean, okay, so when they get to the island, Julian and, now mind you, this is only a 5-day carnival, so somehow or another this chick who doesn't want to be bothered with anybody starts falling in love with Julian in 5 days. 5 days. So she starts falling in love with Julian in 5 days, and then her dad comes to the island with the count. I'm like, ooh. So her dad's a jerk, cuts Julian, cuts him, cuts his face, cuts him, because he's like, you shouldn't. Yeah, he's like, well, you shouldn't have been with him, no way. And I sold you to the count, like sold you, like not he paid a dowry or anything. I sold you. You are a packet of flesh. I sold your packet of flesh to this gentleman over here. And he even says to her,
what's the name of that movie? What's the name of that movie? Nicole Kidman was in it.
Nicole Kidman?
It was like a musical.
Moulin Rouge?
That's the name of it. It's kind of like that a little bit. A bit of a circus.
Yeah. And he even tells the count, like, listen, since you already bought her, you know, might as well enjoy what you paid for her. And sends her back to the bedroom with him. Now mind you, this is still YA fiction, so there's no sex. There's no sex. She's afraid that she's about to be raped. And mind you, the count is acting like a very nice person. He's still acting like a very nice, he's not in with a very good person, but he's acting like a very nice person. But Scarlett has the right not to want to be with someone. So it's not like I'm saying like, oh, Scarlett, you should just let him know. Even though he seems like a very nice person, she had the right to say, no, bruh. We not fitting to do this today or ever. So,
or more so just I don't want to be with you.
Yeah, and she did want to be with the count before, but that's only because it was kind of like, you're going to save us. Yeah, like the count said, I'll take you and your sister away. I'll save you both. And you know, it didn't really work out that way. But yeah, so she falls in love with Julian. This is kind of an older book that I think came out last year, so I'm pretty sure most of you know how it ends, but it's safe to say there's going to be a part 2 that's coming out. No, I'm sorry, Legendary is already out. I'm sorry, Legendary came out earlier middle of this year, I think May of this year. I have absolutely no interest in purchasing it, and here's the reason why. Just like Return to Neverland and Return to Wonderland, you can only return to a trippy land but so many times. So,
it's nothing like the original.
Exactly, and you've already lived it. So like in Return to Wonderland, it's like, okay, it's the same exact place, but stuff has changed. You know, it's not like with Narnia, how like you go back and things have moved forward. Like there's a new war, but there's a continuation of a war. Like you're not moving forward.
I don't know. Remember how we said we'd do that other one over?
We're not doing her over, just reading another book by her.
I mean, even with the part 2 with this,
I don't really want to read Legendary.
I don't know.
Because we're just going back. Cause Legendary is going to be about well, it's already out, so it's about Donatella doing Carnival and the deal she had to make in order to get there, and they're going to find their mom now. I just think they're going back and they're going over the same story again, basically just in a different place with a different main character.
It's like recap.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of lazy writing, in my personal opinion. It's just like with, I never read the book before, but 50 Shades of Grey.
I'm reading that.
How the author, she rewrote the same book, just from the other character's viewpoint.
Not reading it.
And it's like, that's lazy. It's so lazy. It's like, write something new.
It's easy because it's sex. And
Well,
you don't have to add much to it.
Even taking the sex out, though.
Yeah, but people like that, and that's the problem.
Well, no, what I'm saying is, like, it's lazy to just take the same story and just rewrite it from another person's perspective. I understand there's multiple perspectives, but make a novella. Or put that on the same book, but don't try to extend it out by... I just don't feel like... it was a good enough book. It was a head trip. I enjoyed the head trip. It was interesting. It was very vividly described. I even had a dream about it after reading it. It wasn't a good dream, but it was vivid. You know, so it was very well described. I applaud her for that. I'm not taking anything away from her. I'm not reading Legendary because you can only be surprised once. You know, and the way that she described the world was very surprising, very interesting. But you can only be surprised once. So I don't really feel the need to read Legendary. Do you want to read Legendary? I don't feel the need to. I'll read it after you if you read. I don't know. I don't feel that need. I don't. I don't want to hear about Donatella falling in love with so-and-so and meeting up with such and such and going to this and that way. Like, I don't want to.
You want to rethink your number you gave.
It was a good book. It was a good read. I just don't think it should be just like with Wonderland, Alice in Wonderland, or down the. I believe the original was called Through the Looking Glass. I don't feel like it deserves a second book. I feel as though if she was going to give it a second book,
it should be a second book.
Yeah, I feel as though if she was going to make a second book, it should maybe about. Because I think this ending was pretty good. Aside from the little bits that led into the second book, I think this ending was pretty good. But if she was going to make a second book, I would think I'd like to know about Legend's past. I think I'd like to learn how it is he became the master of Caraval and how he amassed all these players and their loyalty to him and how he gained such fame. I'd personally like to read that. I don't want to hear part 2, the Donatella Files. Like I don't want to. It was a good book. Not taking anything away from it. It was a good book. If you like head trips, then you'll probably like to trip your head into this book. You know, if you like head trips, this is the book for you.
Acid,
yeah. Also, something else I want to talk about is book hauls. So when you see us do like book hauls, like if you see us have like books that we purchase and stuff, you're never going to see us holding like huge stacks of books so high you can't see our face. And that's because we believe in getting enough books that we're actually going to read. We also don't believe in buying a bunch of books, showing you, look, I bought a bunch of books, but holding on to the receipt and bringing it back to Barnes & Noble the next day. So if we ever do book hauls, you'll probably see us do 5 or 6 books. Maybe 4, 5, 6 books. Because we're actually going to read them. We note them. We go through them. See, these are actual... I don't think you can see it, but... kind of, maybe. These are actual notes that are for the book. And so we actually note up our book. We actually write stuff on it. It's not just for the fact of saying, hey, I read a book. You want to know what my book's about? Because I read it. Like, no, we actually do read the books. We go over them. We try to find the points that we think are interesting without giving the whole book away. So when it comes to book hauls, you're never going to see us doing all that. Also in our background, you're not going to see like a whole library of books behind us.
Yeah.
1, we don't have big homes. And 2,
I have a library, but I'm still not doing that.
Yeah. And it's like also 2, if we receive a book from an author, we're keeping that book. Either she's keeping it or I'm keeping it, but we're keeping that book.
Specific books though.
Yeah.
Because not all books will actually make it through.
Yeah. But when it comes to books that we purchased, if I don't want to keep it and she doesn't want to keep it, we're donating it. We're not throwing it away, but we're donating it. So you're never going to see a bunch of books amassed behind us because reading is about everyone being able to enjoy literature, whether they can afford to or not. So once we're done, you know, we'll write inside the book, courtesy of 10-minute book reviews. And then we're going to put it in the donation box so that someone else can enjoy the book or not enjoy the book. You know, if they don't enjoy it, they can donate too. That's the whole purpose of putting pen to paper, so that everyone can read these thoughts and know these thoughts. So I just wanted to let all of you know that when you see our videos, one, you're not going to see us carrying so many books you can't see our face and we're about to fall over like, oh my god. You're not going to see that. And you're also not going to see a bunch of books, you know, in a library behind us, because we do believe in the circle of book lives, or I should say the circle of life when it comes to books, in that we have read them. It is time for someone else to read them, and hopefully they will continue the circle by passing them on to someone else to read them too. Don't hoard the books, share the books. We encourage our viewers too, if you have books that you don't want, don't throw them away. Donate them. It may touch somebody else's life. I remember the first book that I really, really enjoyed was Octavia Butler's Lilith's Brood. That was a book that was donated. You know?
Wow, you remember your first book?
The first book that touched me. That really like made me feel. I mean, I liked Pearls of Lutra by Brian Jakes. But the first book that actually touched me and made me feel like, because being African American is we don't really get to see a lot of our authors as they're writing urban fiction.
I'll just say a lot of these authors.
Yeah, and so when I saw Octavia Butler's Lilith's Brood, it was written by a black woman and it had a black protagonist, and it really touched me because it made me feel like, okay, well, we're seen in the future too. We're not just the sidekick. We can be the lead too. And so that book really touched me. That was a donated book. You know, so you never know. Even the book that we talked about last week. The week before last? Vinegar Girl?
It was week before last.
Week before last. Vinegar Girl. We didn't like it. But someone else may read it and be like, that's my life.
Maybe that's why they donated it.
Yeah. What, Lilith's Brood?
No.
What, Vinegar Girl? No, Vinegar Girl we brought. Yeah, I wish we had someone had to donate to that
store and got it.
I know, yeah, that was my fault, but it was a nice cover. But anyway, so thank you so much for watching, and we hope to see you again. I'll just let you know the cover is beautiful. So whoever gets this book when we donate it is going to be very happy. It's a very pretty cover. We're going to take all the tabs out so they can read it for themselves, make their own decisions. And thank you so much for watching, and we hope to see you again next week.